Hi, I'm Marton Busaj. I'm from the Czech Republic, from Prague, and well, I'm here on holiday in Cape Town. Been here for 2 weeks, and well, I'm enjoying the flora and the fauna and the natural beauty of this place, especially Lion's Head and Table Mountain, which are very beautiful from here. And I was lucky enough to get on my camera these birds, which are Egyptian geese, which back home we don't have. So it's a very interesting species of bird that I'm not familiar with. So I've been taking a few shots of them. They've given, they had a clutch of little geese, gooselings, I guess, which are also being guarded by their parents, and in this beautiful sunlight they just look absolutely amazing. And so yeah, I've been capturing some photos with my little trusty Nikon camera that I've bought, that I brought along for this trip, and also hopefully I'm going to catch a few other birds and maybe a few of the albino squirrels which they have in this park specifically. So looking forward to it. I always try to capture is something that looks interesting in the light, something that plays with the shadows, which just before, when the geese were here in the shade, was a bit more interesting. But currently it's very nice that you can actually capture the view of how the parents are looking over the little chicks and how they are keeping an eye on them, how they react to when you are getting close to them. I have my little zoom camera. I try to set it for landscapes so that everything is in focus, in the distance and close up. And if everything goes to plan, especially with these white buildings in the background, they should be pretty special. And you can capture some of the behavior of the animals, like them taking care of their feathers. Also with some greenery in the background. But also, again, I'm probably going to wander around and see some of the other bird species, like the ibises and the squirrels, as I just mentioned. Or, if I'm lucky, maybe some of the sugar birds that are also found in the garden. And yeah, I mean, the geese stretching looks like a ballet dancer. My God. And just some of the patterns on them. My goodness. But yeah. Then I think I will head down this way, see if I catch anything on camera. Although with all the kids playing around in the garden, it's a bit more hectic and the birds are scared of the noise, so they will probably fly away and run away all of the animals that have been here. We just have to be persistent. Yeah, should be okay. And then let's see. It is a little unfortunate that it's the middle of the day and everybody's around. What can you do? But for example, this view with the flowers in the background and some of the older buildings with the foreground, the middle ground and the background with the mountain looks pretty spectacular, I have to say. And then the thing is, I would have to go down a little bit this way, see something more interesting, but let's wander around. I mean, this is, to be fair, getting around the kids is going to be a bit interesting, but I'm going to head that way. That's okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's an entrance here. But also this view with all of the trees. Oh, this looks wonderful. It's like a little arch above everything with the trees. Looks like a cathedral almost. Looks wonderful. And then, what, as I understand, is the, well, national symbol of South Africa. This wonderful little plant. Oh yes. Because unfortunately these bloom during winter, and by this time usually they are already gone and they are already being eaten by some of the bugs and what have you. But also then there are the geese, and you just have to walk around really. You have to capture, you have to find that angle specifically which you find pleasing, and that little moment that you find really interesting for yourself. I mean, you sometimes are out for hours and you don't see anything interesting, but then suddenly just one moment you see something interesting occur. You see some interesting movement, such as the animals flying off, or this male pigeon trying to impress the others. And that lends itself to a very beautiful photo. Or, again, maybe some of the more interesting angles. Such as these flowers. Oh my goodness. And again, for example, these lilies back home, you would only see in a florist shop. Whereas here, they are in full bloom and they look wonderful. Wow. But yeah, it's quite the trip, quite the trip. And South Africa has so much of this to offer. South Africa has so much light, so much color, so many wonderful things that you can see and photograph, not only in the city center, but also out at Sea Point, where the coast, where the city meets the ocean, and it's just genuinely full of animals, full of birds. Sometimes you see seals, sometimes you see whales from the coast, and you can capture some sunsets with some wonderful animals and ships in the foreground. But yeah, let's see. Obviously you have to review your pictures every now and then just to see that the settings are correct and to select between them. See maybe if you have to go back for something. But I think I'm going to head down that way. What is really spectacular is that they have kind of recreated the flower gardens and the natural environment that is up on the mountains here, above like 500, 600 meters above sea level. All of these flowers are, I've seen growing in nature on top of the mountain. But luckily, No need to climb up this time. It's enough to just wander around his garden. I really love the shape of that dome over there. I'm going to try to capture it if possible. And the modern with the new apartment buildings and the old with the cupola in the foreground. Oh yeah. And then again, Table Mountain. How beautiful is that? But yeah, I mean, photography allows you to capture the moment much more vividly, much more quickly. I did paint before this, and it started off as taking photographs for sample pictures for my paintings. But then I realized this is actually a much quicker medium to work with. And yeah, been in love with this ever since, to be honest. Oh yeah. Such as these bromeliads in the middle of the clearing with some of this light casting down on them, everything dark around them, and the fact that they just stand out. It looks so wonderful. The vivid color of this orange in between all the dark foliage, the palm trees. I just have to look for the light casting down on them, because the way light shines through some of these plants and some of the leaves, it just creates such an incredible sort of emerald green color. It looks wonderful looking through them, but also the way it changes the background color, which you don't get anywhere else. I especially love these little flowers, which genuinely they lend themselves to pictures that could go in a magazine, with their color, with the way they look, how vivid they are. But then again, what is also wonderful from here is some of the older buildings, such as the Natural History Museum and also the art gallery, which I'm going to check out next. Not many museums have as much art in them as this particular one in Cape Town. And genuinely the National Gallery, as far as I understand, it has paintings from the modern era, as well as all the way back from the beginning of South Africa's history. I've already had the chance to have a look at the Natural History Museum, which has some of the very earliest fossils of vertebrate animals that have been found in the world, which is quite spectacular. The biggest bonus about this museum is that South Africa doesn't have too many dinosaurs and the like, but before the time of dinosaurs there were vertebrate mammal-like animals, and they are on display here, plus obviously what South Africa is quite famous for, whales, and they have whale skeletons, dolphins, whales, basically life-size models on display. It's a very, very amazing museum to visit, and I come here every time I'm in Cape Town, honestly, because it's just simply worth it. Plus, again, before and after, you can just relax in this wonderful little park and just enjoy the sun, enjoy the little ponds and the little water features they have here. And you can see the entire Table Mountain complex, at least what is facing the city from here, behind which is the 12 Apostles, the continuation of the mountain range. But you can genuinely feel the size and the scope of the mountain range from here. It's simply wonderful. You really get a sense of how huge this city is. So we were just having a look at the war memorial of the soldiers of the who were serving in the First World War under the Commonwealth of Great Britain. And you can just feel everywhere the history that this city and this country is seeping with, really. It's very touching to see the soldiers commemorated here who were serving and were previously not acknowledged by any sort of memorial, and just to see the entire scale of 1,700 soldiers who weren't remembered before. And now, just walking down this wonderful little square, I'm going to check out the National Museum, see some of the art that have been produced in the region. And again, back with the geese. And the fact that you can see the nature all around. What a place. Because what is amazing here in this museum is genuinely that from the very earliest 1600s, you can see some paintings, but also some of the more modern art. There is a completely different museum for modern art out at the seafront, but for me, seeing more of these classical paintings from the beginning of art history for them is going to be more to my tastes. And there you go, a little albino squirrel, just looking for some food. You can see how used they are to people, since they genuinely just come up to you and run around. Wonderful little critters. And here we are. Such a beautiful, grand building. Welcome to the Iziko South African National Gallery. And so, yeah, this was our tour of the Presidential Gardens with these wonderful animals, and genuinely one of the nicest, one of the most open spaces in the city centre of Cape Town. which I love visiting every single time. And now, this has been the tour. I'm going to head down into the museum. You guys enjoy.